I'm giving Dragon Quest I HD 2D Remake a 7 out of 10. Here's why. First of all, the art style is insane. I think Square Enix has really knocked it out of the park with this 2D, 3D style, and I think they've perfected it with this series of games. I was honestly going into this game thinking that it was going to have a lot more of that generic storytelling, but they did add a lot of cutscenes, a lot of character interactions, and each time you entered a new location, it felt like a little mini arc that you were going through. The gameplay itself is super tight. There's a really good balance of what you're doing between traveling and fighting monsters, going into dungeons, going into towns and, doing little story tidbits, buying new armor, and then venturing out to the next bigger area where you're going to be eventually facing off with a boss. Okay, so this is where I have some serious gripes. I've played a lot of RPGs in my time, and I am no stranger to grind, but this game just started to feel annoying and unfair in terms of the combat as I went on in my adventure. So obviously most turn-based JRPGs have a party. You can kind of designate one person as your healer, one person as your tank, one person as your spellcaster, whatever. But in this game, it's just one hero, and sometimes you'll be fighting upwards of 4 monsters. And sometimes the monsters have multiple attacks and can do status effects. So there's a lot of times in which you can just feel totally screwed until you level up to a certain level where you get like almost like a enemy wiping ability, like a big thunderstorm that you can hit multiple enemies and it does like tons of damage. So in that sense, the balance for progression of the character feels really, really off. There is also a couple of times with bosses that I was completely frustrated, and it didn't feel like it was one of those situations where it's like, oh, I'm just under-leveled or I'm not trying to figure out a strategy. I was literally peeling through all of the spells, trying to play around with what different types of shields could be used or what types of attacks were like super effective towards the bosses. But many times it almost felt like it came down to luck in terms of whether an attack hit or not. That could totally like disrupt the entire flow of battle. It's like one tiny slip up and you're totally screwed in certain battles in this game. So yeah, let me know if you played this game too, if you kind of experienced this frustration with the progression or if it's just me.